All right. We back again. I got the homie AM1, AM1 Media, AM1 Fitness, all of that. What do you go by these days now? Because you you rebranded into the fitness, correct, or the media?
Most definitely. No, I mean, it's always been in media and just more expanded into the fitness lane. So I got
Okay.
AM1 Lifestyle, and then just my main channel I've been rocking with for years under AM1 Media. So AM1 Media is the actual at handle.
Okay. Perfect. So you did some rebranding, and I want to get your thoughts on what was the moment for you that you said, you know what, let me rebrand, let me take this thing back and go in a different direction. Because for those that don't know, when you first came into that space, you got a lot of heat, a lot of pushback for certain viewpoints that you still to this day hold near and dear. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Okay, so what was the moment for you when you said, you know what, maybe my message isn't for everybody or this group of people, and let me kind of just retool some things?
You waiting for me? You said you about
Yeah,
to
yeah, no,
listen.
I'm waiting for you. Yeah, that was the question. That was the first question.
Oh, my bad. Wait, what was? Oh, so the reset point was introduction into YouTube, more black YouTube, black manosphere kind of vibes. And when I first came into it, it was more black community, what are the challenges we're facing in this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, I rock with that. Coming up out of the Bay, civil rights, let's do better for black folks. And some of the uh, just my thoughts on it have changed to a certain degree, but how do we do better for our people, that kind of energy. And then realizing, within the online Black YouTube and subsequent Black Manosphere specific, I realized that, hey, these guys care more about pointing fingers at whether it be the white man, some power structure, racism, or of course, the ultimate final boss, women, or even more specifically, Black women.
Hmm.
So once I realized, okay, I don't really have the same issues with women like y'all have. I really do approach life as a grown ass man coming from the perspective of self improvement. And I realized guys really don't want to do self improvement, like self reflection, introspection. Let me figure out how to, be the man I need to be no matter what. We just want to bash and beat up on and whoop that trick, beat up on Keisha, beat up on a black woman. And that's like the content industry. And I had to back up and say, okay, that's definitely not me, because genuinely, it's hard for me to just be fake, period. And
Hmm.
definitely online, I've seen a lot of dudes do it and run up a bag, but I can't do it. And I realized there's become an industry where guys just feel hurt in some kind of way about women, and I just couldn't do it. So I just said, I was just like, I got to focus more in on the self improvement piece. And again, going into my, I've been rocking with this for a while, late 30s into my 40s. We got to do better on the money tip, on the health tip, all that, and just kind of locked in on that more and more. Uh, yeah.
So you coming from the Bay, you actually see community work ground zero. It's a lifestyle. It's a culture. Um, are you seeing anything close to that online per se?
Whoa, no, I mean, and I got to keep it a buck. Like even in the Bay, I've seen the thing go more from issues relative to the position of Black folks and pushing back against, again, some kind of power structure, white supremacy, however you want to look at it, to it almost being, we're going to now be a part of the power structure while complaining about the power structure, while trying to get money off of it. Just so no, the whole community thing is either we're going to stay victims, but then try to go beg the people that victimized us, but then at the same time pull some kind of weird judo throw arm submission chokehold with where we're going to guilt trip the white folks. So again, sort of the whole woke thing. Like I got a front row seat at watching it go from they gentrifying us, they holding us down, we so oppressed, to we're gonna play along with some of it while at the same time we've got to guilt trip the allies and the. I mean, it's pretty deep, it's pretty complex. So online, I'm not seeing anything like that. And then boots on the ground, because my career, my work has tied into this, where I'm sitting at meetings where I'm really seeing, oh, you guys are shuffling around big contracts, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, based on we're going to make sure our people in this area stay feeling like victims. And there's this big boogeyman of oppression that's just always looming behind every bush and
Hmm.
on your shoulders, like some yoke, heavy weight yoke all day, every day.
Hmm.
And no, you can't actually circumvent it or get yourself up out of it. You just got to talk about how it's oppressing you and holding you back, even though you work in tech and you make 200 bands a year. So it's like, wait, what?
Mhm.
Let's talk more about that. But then, no, the Afro tech people are bougie and the black Zen techs are bougie. And that's all over the place, man. I don't know if that's too lofty or too heavy for this discussion, but it's
Oh no,
deep.
we
So
know that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
it's a crazy game. So all roads for me, and we're gonna get to this, seeing that, seeing to your point, where we're going online, is there true any movement towards, I don't know, what social justice? We just saw where that took us with this whole political cycle thing, this whole presidential selection cycle. So they just fully maxed out on the whole oppression Olympics. If we can't make it be black folks, then we'll make it be black women and this, that, and the third. And we're
Mhm.
going to align this with whatever other uh, actual preference kind of thing. And you see what it is like just the mind games with the stuff, and it only works for people that are just really looking for every out, every excuse to just stay as oppressed as possible, because I think it just gives people every excuse in the book to not really do the self-improvement thing. Like
Okay.
all roads lead away from self-improvement into whatever other thing I can point at as the reason why I can't improve my position. And I just gotta laugh at it because it's just crazy. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I've been wanting to ask you and a couple other guys, strictly Californians, from one Californian to another. I at some point feel the need to leave California. Right now, I'm not too pressed. Um, you haven't left California altogether per se. Do you feel the pressure to leave?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was already coming there anyway. I mean, spent my whole adult life California, Bay Area, and then as I expanded more into the visual media career, videography, started traveling, hitting other countries, other states like regularly, and then obviously we had the whole CV scamdemic, uh, and that just made it real clear to me. Oh, okay. So again, this whole oppression Olympics thing, the way I'm describing it, again, fight the power, fight the system. But then as soon as they tell us to be scared of some, bug or whatever, then we're going to go bootlick the exact same people who've been oppressing us this whole time. And we're going to, I don't know, again, everything is about let's stay oppressed, any kind of new way to be beat down, but then be many tyrants. And there's a lot of that in California, in the Bay Area. The same people who talked about being oppressed wanted to be the oppressors,
Right.
while at the same time saying we're woke to the oppression. So the whole woke word, that's why it got flipped on itself. It went from being awake to the threats and whatever going on in the world, injustices, to, oh no, we're actually many tyrants. To that point, it became clear to me relative to so-called black community. Well, it's like, I don't agree with this, I don't align with this, I don't co-sign this, so I need to move away from this so-called community. And seeing as how the major metropolitan areas in California seem to have that same energy, it's just time for me to get out of California in general, or let me get out to some suburbs, let me
Hmm.
get somewhere that's more conservative, more red, however you want to look at it. Not because I care about the politics, more so, but just what are these people about? I want to be left alone. I don't want to be forced to have to comply with people's little issues where, I don't know, I feel so beat down and broke down that if the government tells me, hey, I get to force somebody to wear a mask, or I need to tell somebody to force some pronouns or something, the little mini tyrant thing, I got to get away from that. So I started thinking, how can I get away but not be too far, because a lot of my business interests are still in California because
Right.
there's a ton of money to be made in
Right.
California.
Right.
So doing the kind of work I do, I'm not quite in a position where I could totally detach from that.
Okay. Given all the what we've seen in our lifetime, just even the last 10 years, um, can we really be surprised at how, let's see, the psychology of black folks has become? Because it's almost like the Lord of the Flies. Like you leave a group of people to themselves. At some point, they'll cannibalize. They'll form their own weird little hierarchy, social structure, and then so on and so forth. Like, are you really like taken aback at like how we've become as a collective and how we're functioning at this point?
I mean, me and you've been rocking on this thing for years. We've had discussions. We haven't agreed on everything, but we've had discussions even years back talking about the whole music industry. I came up rapping and making beats and whatnot, a big time hip hop head, East Coast, West Coast, loved all of that, grew up with all of that, and watched the trajectory of hip hop. then got into doing visual media work, really approaching it full nerd mode. Like, let me understand visual media, filmmaking, propaganda, storytelling, but really that propaganda piece, shaping stories in people's minds. So I take that understanding and then cycle it back with my experience growing up with hip hop and realizing, oh, our people who created this thing have allowed it to be co-opted in such a way where the most degenerate kind of images are allowed to be foisted, and we don't own it to control it. The most degenerate images are allowed to be presented and foisted in front of us to the point where it's now generations deep and shaped culture. So I only bring that up because no, not surprising at all. Heartbreaking, but not surprising.
Okay.
Again, anything that allows for a position of let's stay beat down, let's not do self accountability, introspection, it's always the man, the white man, somebody else, something external. And when it comes to a matter of, hey, well, let's clean house, let's get our own house in order. Now we don't want to do that. We just want to focus on who's oppressing us. So no, not surprised at all. And I don't see the trajectory. I don't see how it is remedied in any kind of way.
Hmm. Okay. What were your thoughts before, during, and after the election?
I mean, I gotta say, and I've been saying it for years relative to YouTube. So speaking on my channel, got a lot of people unsubscribing, not liking what I'm saying, um, really pushing the issue on the self improvement piece because I've never voted. I've never been with the whole thing of vote for somebody to rule over you. And people are like, well, what are we supposed to do? And I'm like, yeah, we were born into a system where there's some kind of corporate servitude, slavery situation, social security number, corporate fiction, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure the best way to circumvent that or get around that. I understand there's ways you can possibly do it, certain jurisdictional changes and whatnot, status correction. I don't know. But just to keep it on a lower level than that, instead of complaining about the system or whatever, how do we figure out how to really make moves? And we're talking on the internet. Again, I'm engaging with people on the internet and in real life.
Mhm.
But for the most part, this internet thing, how can we say, we're so oppressed, we can't take advantage of opportunities, but spend hours every day online when online you can have businesses, you can launch so many different things and nobody ever knows your race, your gender, or whatever. So it just totally kicks your legs out from under, people's willingness to not make moves. And I'm all about making moves because it is, self-preservation, self-respect. Let me get more free versus less free, worrying about voting for somebody to rule over me who, historically, this country, when I talk about it's evil, it's oppression, it's patriarchy, it's the white man, it's that and the third. It's like, okay, how do we get out from under that? But it's like, no, every 4 years, let's vote to stay in that. It's like, how do we have it both ways?
Right, right, right.
So
Yeah.
again, it's silly me. I'm about self improvement to the point of how do I better myself because I understand and I embrace the fact that nobody's coming to save us. Not saying I have all the answers, but let me start with the things I can start with, which is exactly why I pivoted more into the health fitness realm. This whole election cycle thing, again, years of seeing dudes in the US, all around the world. We get a nice snapshot of guys all around the world saying the same things with the women, watching the social fabric fray and tatter, right?
Hmm.
Familial ties, different discussions relative to marriage and this, that, and the third. We have differing views on that across guys. Um, Me myself being mid 40s, never married, no children. My perspective is what it is, and I can speak to what could be seen as the benefits of that. There's a lot we can get into that later if you want, but where I see it, so many people are taking advantage of every excuse to be weak, to stay in their comfort zone, to stay mediocre. So they like the idea of being ruled over. I'm so trying to move in the opposite direction of that. And just for years, seeing people want to seemingly lock in more on, no, let's keep the status quo. Let me keep the comfort zone. I don't want to have to do anything, change anything. When the rubber meets the road, I'm just going to roll over and let it be the same way, starting even with my own, diet, nutrition, and fitness. That's why I've locked in so much on that because you can't control necessarily. These people want to vote for whoever, Harris, Trump, whatever. The only thing you can truly vote for is what are you consuming, what are you eating, what's your nutrition, what's your fitness game, all that. Because mid 40s, we're getting older. I'm in better shape than a lot of guys a decade younger than me. I'm in the best shape of my life.
Let's go with that,
And,
right? Yeah.
you just,
Let's go with that. I'm the type of person, you can have all the knowledge and wisdom in the world, but if I see you're clearly overweight, everything you comes out your mouth to me means nothing because you lack the basic self control of what you put into your mouth. Are you that way? Do you see things that way? Is that how you feel? Have you come to that point?
for sure, because you know more than most. I got a petty side where I can talk all the ish in the world. Don't let the light skin fool you. Don't let it fool you. I can get real petty and have that sort of almost disdain for it's like, ah, I understand we're being set up for failure. They got poison and everything. Cool. Let's figure that out. And I see business opportunities in communicating that, right? Taking the business knowledge, the skills I've done. Okay, that's part of my whole pivot, so to speak, or extension, as I would say. But when we're in this thing where no, I'm just getting old. I'm just sore. I'm making excuses. I'm doing this, and you should do this, and blah blah blah. But you fat and sloppy. It's like, fam, I don't want to judge you or body shame you or this, that, and the third. But in the back of my mind, I'm not just right off rip gonna say it to somebody's face. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I really can't. I really,
Right.
I really can't.
It's the
Like
first thing you
whatever I
see.
thought. Yeah, yeah. Presentation matters. I'm a visual guy, like
Yeah.
literally visual media communication. You're
Yeah, that's your
communicating some
livelihood.
things to
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
by the fact that you're. Ah, and I get it. It's not easy. I try to give some grace. People gotta commute and work, and it's stressful, and kids and all this. But fam, and the crazy part is there's a light at the end of the tunnel, everyone. If you are super duper out of shape like that and you feel like you can get the pounds off, it's actually way easier than you think. And that's exactly why I'm investing a lot of energy into learning about that and figuring out how to communicate it to people. So I'm down to talk the shit about it, but I have solutions. If only people want to put in the work and be disciplined. But yeah, no, for sure. Totally unacceptable. It has to be, especially after the 2020 situation. We can't be fat and sloppy and sick, eating poison stuff, making excuses for it. We can't do it. We can't say somebody's going to come help us, save us, RFK, whatever. You know what I mean? Make America healthy again. Stop it, fam. Just stop poisoning
Okay,
yourself.
I'm glad you said that. I To me it's a joke to put him as whatever department he's in. Like they've been red dye, yellow dye number 40 for generations. All of a sudden because they put you in, they're gonna start this. Like stop. Who are we kidding at this point?
Yeah, man. It's like, again, I know I'm such a nerd about like understanding social engineering. I talk about it a lot, and I guess it seems like a highbrow thing, and nobody want to hear that. That's not fun. It's not entertaining. That's my wheelhouse. I'm a nerd about that. And I genuinely, if you saw the playlist of stuff I'll be listening to, is pretty ridiculous. I'm about understanding how people are planting ideas into people's minds because it makes me better at my job.
Yeah.
In understanding it makes me, I would argue, anybody who understands and researches propaganda, social engineering, theoretically, hopefully, would be less susceptible to it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? You start to see, oh, I see how they're manipulating people like that. So I say that with this whole RFK Jr. thing, bring him in along with Trump, second term. Oh, we're gonna fix everything now after everything got so off the rails with these obviously unhealthy people, obviously psychotic people, obviously parasitic people, and we're gonna hit this new golden age where things are gonna be healthy. Never mind the photo with them eating McDonald's. But yeah, make America healthy again. They're gonna come save you. And the psyop of that whole position is there shouldn't need to be some federal governmental bureaucracy that says we're going to protect you. It should be protect yourself.
Okay.
Protect your own children. Don't go, I mean, for fair market, if they want to sell you red dye, blah, 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 and they know it's a known carcinogen, I mean, in theory, if there's a government agency that's supposed to, uh, be a watchdog, look out for this kind of stuff. Okay, cool. So either make that agency actually effective or reallocate those funds. So, okay, fair enough. But the bottom line is it's really in the hands of the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't eat the stuff. Simple supply and demand. If no one eats it, they got to pack up and figure out something else. We have the power.
What do you say to the, and I've heard this excuse before. It's expensive to eat healthy. That's why all the bad food is so cheap. No, you're not you're not that's not an excuse.
No.
No.
There was a time where I understood that premise, but part of it is, I mean, at this point now, I mean, even the way they played with the money game and inflated it, yes, Trump and Biden, yes, they both added to the inflation, made everything more expensive. So we're clear about that. As people don't like the objectivity when you point out what both sides are doing, right? So
Right.
that's I lost a lot of subs talking a lot of that the last few months. Like, oh, you must be this, you must be on that side. No, I'm just pointing out the foolishness on both sides.
Hmm.
But wait, where was I going with that? Um, well, I was talking about the objectivity part, but that's a big deal. Um, oh, the price of the food. No, fam. So with part of my research into the diet, nutrition, fitness thing, part of it was, well, let me see what's up. We can get it way deep off into that, or that's a whole other show. Because I'm still working on my personal trainer cert and my nutrition coaching certification, and I'm just studying so much. Basically, just getting it down to the bare minimum macronutrients you need. Everybody could easily get by with 1 or 2 meals a day. So this whole thing about food being too expensive is absolute nonsense,
Okay.
because if you eat more nutrient dense foods and don't eat expensive yet unhealthy fast food, which most people are eating hyper palatable processed foods anyway, eating 3 meals a day plus snacks. When you add that all up, it's going to be a grip of money. But if you ate right, you could eat way more actual nutrient dense food, eat once or twice a day, and save a ton of money. It's absolute nonsense.
Let's take it back to the part where basically you've had people that self-identify as weak and not putting in the work. Those that reject the self-improvement per se or had pushback for it. Isn't that okay for me? Over the course of the years, I'm like, that's a good thing. Thank you for telling me how weak you are. I'm a firm believer in survival of the fittest. So if you've already checked yourself out of the conversation with that mindset, good. I need more of you to jump off the cliff like the lemmings per se. You don't? Do you agree or disagree?
No, no, no. I see where you're going with that. And the part of me that's like, you weak little ninjas out here. There's a part of me that's like, again, it's sort of not like I'm some big dog or whatever, but a sense of disdain for men not being men, right?
Yeah.
So I look at that and I'm like, y'all lame, but I get it. We're in the the generation of babies who had babies who had babies who had babies. Generational arrested development. I've been saying this for years, and it's so apparent now. A lot of guys we interact with, like almost every day online, don't have like OG figures, father figures, this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
I've had guys talk to me about stuff that's deep that they dad should have talked to them about.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, I'm 46, I could be, some of these guys'
You
dad.
person, I'm about to say you daddy, you somebody's daddy age. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's like horrifying, but I just say that to say, um, here's the thing. You make the point about the lemmings, right? First of all, most people, and I just focus on the men, right? Because we want to be the leaders. We want the submissive women. We complain about the women, but it's like you're not even standing on everything you could stand on, because you have to do the self improvement thing first, right? I could just put this in the context of sort of like the Black YouTube, Black Manosphere thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not actually saying that they want to be weak. They're showing the weakness by avoiding the self improvement piece more so than we want to point fingers at what something external to me isn't doing, whether it be white man got his foot on my neck or the women aren't behaving properly. And I started ushering in concepts like, well, look, fam, you got to be a man with or without, before or after a woman.
Right.
And getting pushback from that from younger guys, one thing, 18, 20s, 30s, but even older guys, some of these content creator guys who, want the guys to sit at their feet and educate them like some kind of master teacher or something. Just saying. Uh, want to keep these guys paralyzed in this thing of like, no, self improvement isn't the way. We need to make these other people, these other women come to the table. You've heard these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
you're showing me you're weak by avoidance of self improvement. And then when I steered my content in more in the direction of the self improvement piece, and then they pushed back, I was like, well, I'm steering it that way even more now. just because YouTube isn't my livelihood, right? So it's like if y'all unsub from me or don't watch me, whatever.
Right, right.
I can get some super chats here and there. This doesn't make me or break me. So I have no problem talking all the shit possible about the self improvement piece. But again, they're not saying they don't want to self improve. They're just avoiding it. Now we got guys talking incel black pill stuff where they're kind of embracing, I'm just ugly and I just got to accept that. And, you know, there's even a genetic thing of if you just look uglier, you're less likely to get a good job. You know, this whole black pill stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
really looked at some of this stuff. I was like, you guys are really running up content off this. And then other guys chime in, yeah, I'm just going to be a loser forever. And I was like, God, you guys made a whole industry out of this. Like, shout out to Ciova earlier. Anything you could think of, there's content for it. So there's content for dudes just on some real self-defeated kind of mentality.
Well, let me ask you, how much of it do you believe was industry created versus the, there's a mass amount of men that actually felt this way, just didn't have the signal to say, me too, or I also feel this way.
Okay, so now we're getting into sort of the social engineering propaganda feedback
Yeah.
loop. Which came first, chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
I would say it's all that, right? Because think about it. A lot of these guys, the red pills, so-called red pill guys who are just focusing on the women, a lot of what they're saying is true to varying degrees. If you create this power dynamic or shift the power dynamic to where women have the ability to exercise their options to live freely and get better jobs and make money and don't have to just be sort of with some traditional household structure that made sense in past times where there's less money or the women aren't working. There's certain structures that worked like that that I think made sense.
Hmm.
Fast forward to more technology, more, you can have he can have a tech job, she can have a tech job, they make the same amount of money. Now where's the power dynamic at home? On top of generations of babies who had babies who had babies, less fathers in the life, less masculine guidance, and then atrazine in the water and phytoestrogens in the food. Mix all that together, masculinity, hormone imbalances, social media, everybody gets to flex and stunt, dating apps. Mix that all together, and it's a recipe for destabilized relationship engagements. So, to a certain degree, the non-select guys are going to exactly fall in line with not being selected. So, a lot of you sure I'm going with that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, perfectly said. Could that be a form of population control?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, me and you have talked about this before. I'm curious to know because you was like, I don't see any way they're trying to do some kind of Depop, and I was like, Sly,
Well,
are you?
okay. Most people think depopulation, they just think a bioweapon and kills off tens of hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm like, I don't think they would do it that way if they were going to do it. I think you create generations of weak men that won't pursue women, but I could be wrong. But what say you?
Oh yeah, no, no, for sure. I would say, if there's super nefarious people that are, super wealthy and feel like we don't need as much of y'all useless eaters around,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, we're gonna do generational things. Babies who had babies who had babies, generational arrested development, less masculine leadership, more weakened men, literally throwing off people's hormone and endocrine system, so their pheromones even aren't even communicating properly to attracting the opposite sex. Less, throwing the whole uh, Kamala Harris debacle, them openly, overtly telling women to go against their husbands in the
Mhm.
household. I mean, yeah, they're doing everything they can to create rift between men and women, coupling, copulation, baby making, all that, knocking boots. They don't want none of that. So it's obvious to see. So again, to the point of the dudes crying about that and jumping up and down, there's a genuine issue with that for sure. There's something true about that. Then guys come online and realize, oh, I can make money off being some like figure about that. So now we just kind of went on a little tangent. We can go back to that too. But just to bring it back to the original point, yes, they're making a whole little cottage industry of let's just cry about the fact that the women don't want us. And to a certain degree, it's true because they're the seemingly non select guys. Let's be honest, some guys just ain't got it or are seemingly less attractive, whatever. Um, but just to cry about it, and I kick the legs out from under it and say, "Fam, it was never owed to you anyway. So now what are you going to do?"
Right.
Because not everybody can be some YouTuber. The black pill sector, I don't think is that big. Not everybody's going to run up crazy, crazy super chats
Oh
or
gosh, no, no, no,
Patreons or something.
no.
You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't going to
Right.
eat off that forever. So what's your plan C, plan D, plan Z. What's your
Yeah.
5-year plan on trying to be a black bill content creator? Like, fam, stop it.
Well, yeah, I don't knock the capitalistic part. I mean, if there's an opportunity for you to exploit something to make money off of it, sure. Do you have a moral responsibility to not hurt people in the process? I would say yes to a certain extent. Um, if you knew your rhetoric was going to affect, scores of people generationally down the road, do you say, what, I do have a moral obligation to not ruin those that come after me? And what I'm seeing, I think what we've seen is the rhetoric is stifling. You know, remember we had the one kid that was watching the Manosphere since he was 12, 13. Now he's 20, 25. And he's like, man, I've been watching you guys for 10 years and I don't want to deal with women. Like, how would you even know? That's what you know what I'm saying? So then the
Yes.
kid ends up becoming a merchant marine, and now he sees life and the world in a whole different lens, away from online, away from these guys' rhetoric pounded in the subconscious. Now he's like, you know what? It wasn't that bad after. These women are not that, life is not that scary. And it's like, you guys almost ruined this kid's life, either inadvertently or advertently, just by the rhetoric, because you wanted to capitalize off this men's pain and suffering. What's your take on that?
So here's the problem, because I've literally talked to guys that I know who I could text message right now, who I've known for years, interacting on this thing. And they say, well, that's what the people want. Well, it's just entertainment. Well, that's what the algorithm wants. Well, I'm trying to get these super chats,
Yeah.
justifying it for the sake of their own pockets. But here's the thing: you brought up the thing about the lemmings earlier. I use the similar analogy, being dragged along with the current. Part of why I got to get out of California. I'm not trying to be dragged along with the current of Newsom or whoever else they try to usher in. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in the woke victimhood current and be dragged along with that. I don't want to be in the, when they say the next outbreak happens and we got to lock down again and we got to
Okay.
capitulate to all their, whatever. Let me get to a place higher ground from behind enemy lines where there's people that's like, nah, we're not having that.
Yeah.
Let me go somewhere that's more red, that's more conservative, that's more freedom oriented. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with this thing of where weak men are being bred, right, from just the live environment, the manipulated environment, right, the socially engineered environment in the real world, and online they're being engineered even more. That's super dangerous. Some guys are going to win off of it and profit from it, but when you have more and more weak men out here, that's more and more weak men to be manipulated and dragged along with this current that's going to sooner or later be at your doorstep.
Right.
Totally unacceptable. So you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So for myself, I realized, whoa, the CV thing, 2020, let it be clear. If you get a bunch of NPC normies that want to play along because they're afraid and want to be government bootlickers, these people will drag you along and become mini tyrants and say, get down or lay down because Big Daddy government said we all need to do this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That.
It's
Yeah.
not, it's unacceptable.
Okay. Do we have a reasonable solution for that? Because it's going to be more than self improvement. I mean, you're talking about something that's been ingrained in somebody's head for, and you pass on trauma and fear into your kid, and it's just, it's like a death spiral that never ends. What? How do we? Is that even fixable at this point? Is this just a natural precipice of when you tinker with society in certain avenues? This is the eventually the end result.
Yeah, no, I think about that a lot. Like I use the analogy, uh, we're in a car, it's already careened off the cliff, and we're already falling in slow motion to the bottom of the canyon, but it's so slow that the crash doesn't seem as imminent as it is.
Yeah.
And we're coasting super slow mo, 1,000 frames per second. We're coasting, we're coasting, we're coasting, and it seems all good. It's all fun and games, but sooner or later we're gonna hit the bottom of that canyon. We gotta deal with that. Just a colorful way I try to describe it. But yeah, man, I refuse to play into the doom gloom element of it, because here's the thing: the steps that I'm taking, and again, anecdotally, I don't have it all figured out, but man, it's just standing on something, some kind of principles, and then the self improvement piece. You said it's not going to be self improvement, and I get it. A lot of people don't want to go that route; they don't want to hear it because you got to really do something. But I feel like I think people, I hope people are getting fed up where they're at the end of the rope. I try to make it clear, Big Daddy government's not coming to save you. You want to put, Trump up there like he's some messianic figure. You was all hoping that Tyson was going to knock out Paul, uh, John Jones. I'm just using these current events as far as
Yeah.
hype trains and whatnot. Somebody coming to save you. Like, how do we? My thinking is we gotta instill, especially to the men. Nobody's coming to save you. The black pill boohoo crybaby thing is not going to work for you. Most likely, the predatory parasite government class is going to come for your freedom even more, just like they did in 2020. They're going to do something far more diabolical. Um, so you got to go back to where the rubber meets the road. What are you feeding yourself every day? What are you feeding your eyes and your ears every day from a content perspective, right?
Hmm.
Because that's almost arguably at this point more important than the food.
Hmm.
Um, and then are you exercising? Are you being strong? Are you being fit? Are you being out in nature? Like it has to be that, or that's what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? And then for me to the best of my ability, try to be like a living example of that from health, business, financial health, more freedom. Uh, Again, 46, best shape of my life. If I can present that, I would urge other content creators to do the same. Guys are like, nah, we just want to do entertainment or, do you. But again, we're going to be dragged along with the current. These lemmings want to jump off the cliff. They're going to try to drag us along with them. Part of it is like bleak, right? But I can't really see it that way because everything is working out so beautifully for me. So maybe we get into some kind of woo-woo thing of I'm manifesting my reality and I'm making it bend to my will. And
Well, if it
you know what
works
I'm
for
saying?
you, right? So it would be unfair for me to make you see it from the collective standpoint because, that's the whole Lil Wayne. Well, I don't know what racism is, and you know what? That probably is his reality. Who am I to say no? That's not what you experience is not real. What's going on outside of you is real. Hey, man, people create their own little personal bubbles for whatever reason. So it would be remiss for me to say, well, hey, one, yeah, it's working for you, but everybody else, it's not. That's not fair for me to do or anyone to do to your reality is to dismiss it or diminish it.
Yeah, no. And I'm fully aware of, again, I try to be, I focus on the word objectivity, right? Because I want to be, what are we all able to readily perceive, not just how I feel about it. But I think it is objectively true. If you eat better with better nutrition, your body's going to function better. Your ability to observe reality and react to it is going to function better. So you're going to be less likely to be played with the political games. Uh, so many other benefits come from. That's why I would take it back to the eating right thing, right? Like this is the
Mm-hmm.
most fundamental thing. Eating, resting, most of it is relatively cheap or free. Sleep is free. Exercise you can do for free. Most of the stuff that can make people's lives 50 to 100% better is free. So it's like, fam, the excuse game, you being out of shape, making excuses for it, is one thing to be out of shape. A whole different story to say, I'm just got to stay like this. So let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
I understand most people don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. It's working for me. I understand that's off rip, not everybody's position, but it can be. You see, I'm trying to go to the most thing to where damn near anybody can do it. Start there
Mm-hmm.
and see if you get results and almost inundate your life with a self improvement kind of lifestyle mindset to the point where you damn near don't even have time to deal with the drama. Your
Right.
friend groups are impacted by the fact that, nah, I'm about to go hit this gym instead of this happy hour. I'm not about to sit around and blow trees all day because that makes me groggy in the morning and I don't want to get up and go work out. I
Mm-hmm.
feel better doing this. Just these kind of simple things that lead to more benefits, more benefits, more benefits versus friends of mine who I see posting on Instagram and they're caught up in all the politics stuff, men and women. And oh, I can't believe what's happening. And my heart is heavy after last Tuesday and this, that, and the third. And it's like, fam, if you don't shut up. And I'm like, look, or who did you vote for? I'm like, tell me what you ate this week. Tell me how much push-ups you did. Tell me that. And I'm saying it halfway jokingly, right?
Yeah.
Because that has more impact on your life than what just happened with this federal election thing. Like that right there, you know what I'm saying? You got control over that.
It seems to me that we have a current crop of a generation of young men that don't see the value in manhood. and then compare that to the opposite end where we see hyper masculinity, and I don't see a happy medium in between. Am I wrong?
Nah, well, that's part of the things. We get the hyper masculinity. We can talk about, popular culture stuff, obviously from the music stuff. 'Cause a lot of guys don't want to go there. The music glamorized, hyper HOMO thug look. Did I send you that? I see it's like something with young thug with some kind of long skirt on, and people like, oh no, that's high fashion. It's like, fam, stop it. Every dude got to have hair dangling down, up in braids, dangling, but bangs. I
Wait,
swear I'm gonna
wait,
make a video.
wait.
Things we're not doing in 2025, grown ass men. We're not having bangs dangling off our faces. We're not doing this stuff. Pop the balloon or find love. You can tell the women are like, these dudes are not giving off a masculine vibe, and some of the women coming on there masculine, but that's a whole other ballgame. But yeah, this whole effeminate man thing, I gotta be drippy and flossy with the clothes, and I understand peacocking and all that, and fashion and stunting and drip and all that, but it's like, fam, stop it. It's getting too girly. How much time you spend in the mirror? I gotta sit between somebody's legs and get my hair twisted. All right, let me shut up because this is how loose up. So
Well, no,
I'm
no,
about
wait,
to
wait now, because
loose up.
we do have a few content creators that started growing their hair long, and all of a sudden getting twisties, and then letting it hang down. It's like, okay, y'all going through y'all second childhood, y'all trying to recapture the memories that you weren't able to do when you were young. I get it. I get it.
Grown ass men. I'm like, fam, 80s to 90s, there was like a delineation between men or teenagers, young men, 20s to 30s, 40s. Now it's just blurred lines. You don't know if dude is 50, 40, 20. Everybody looks the same. And it's always this we got dangly earrings, dangly hair, big ass beards. It's the same clone ass thing. So, and then is this coming from some kind of pop culture thing? Well, no, this is the streets talking. This is just you mean to tell me this is organic? All of a sudden I'll look up and every dude got a dangly earring on or just some kind of big ass beard or Rick Ross thing. It's like, again, I said it on my channel, it's chia pet swag. Uh Chia pet.
Chia
Some people don't
pet.
know the chia pet. You just get the little chia
Chia.
pet clay thing, and it already has seeds in. You put
Yeah,
water in
you
it, put it
do.
on your windowsill, and it just grows. So it's chia pet swag, right? I don't really have too much swag. The ladies ain't feeling me, so let me just grow this big ass beard, so I look like Rick Ross or some other rapper. Let me just grow my hair. I don't really have to have no game, no mouthpiece, no real swag, but let me just look like the hot rapper and slur my voice more and kind of mumble, yeah, yeah, you feel me? Every third word, and it's like, fam. Now I
Yeah.
get slang and all that, cool, but it's just so off the rails now. Tie that in with, oh man, babies who had babies, and yeah, it's looking good. But let's get the masculinity up. We need that on deck because that's definitely lacking. And I don't know, I'm in such an interesting position to see it because again, I don't have children of my own, so I can see this stuff, and I've done like real community stuff where I've seen guys grow up doing because I was throwing events and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
curating stuff, so I was able to tap in with young rappers, up and coming artists, producers, and whatnot. So I literally watch guys grow up and fool around, and they confide in me, man, I got my girl pregnant, and down see they little kids, and it's like damn, and just watching them grow and grow through phases and it's just crazy to see, man. And try to give them some guidance, some stuff they want to take from me, some stuff they don't. Because it's always the pop culture thing that just draws them more. They don't want to listen to, old light skinned me, no swag, bald head, whatever, not some drippy rapper guy. I'm just some old nigga, right? But it's like, oh, I like that you're able to travel and just do video work though. I wish I could do that. It's like, fam, you can. I'll show you the whole get down, but it's not swaggy enough. It's not drippy enough.
Mm. Well, let me ask you. The fact that you don't have children and your reality is going the way you manifested it to be. Have you become more resolute in not having kids, given everything you're seeing right now, or are you still? Is there like a little piece of you like, you know what? Let me bring a little piece of joy into this mad world, and if it happens, I would be happy. I wouldn't be, be like, God damn, about to have a kid in this crazy world. How am I gonna,
Sly, you know
protect?
what? I really respect your interview skills, and I understand why you asked that question. But as you started asking the question, I'm like, nigga, have you not been listening to me this whole
But I'm
time?
just, it could change. You never know. What I've said to you years ago. I said you and Ramil. I said y'all ain't met that one woman that will just have you change your entire get down. Like, you know what, her, we're gonna do this. Are you just not? You still stomp down like no kids?
No, 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 no. So here's how it works. Like when I talk about like how I move, and the idea of you know standing on principle, male leadership, the way I move, any woman that's in my life like that is gonna understand how I move and move how I move. So
Okay.
I have a lady in my life that holds me down,
Okay.
and she understands what we're dealing with to the point where she doesn't want to have children.
Okay.
So I don't even have the, resistance or arm twist or push like that. But if I did, she would be gone. Because by that logic, you don't see exactly what's going on here. You're not really woke. You're not really peeping game. So part of it is 46, fam. Stop it. I'll be 56 when they're 10. I mean, just running numbers
Man, I'm
is
trying to have one
wow.
at 50. Listen, I'm sorry if I don't got to be Tony Randall and Robert De Niro. I would. I'm sorry. I just
Okay. Let me add a caveat to that.
okay.
And again, this is just in some alternate universe. I hit a lick. I'm sitting on 15, 20 million. Maybe then. Maybe then. Maybe then.
Maybe got leave, bro.
Because it
It
has
take
to be a
15, 20
situation.
minutes.
It has to be a situation where I know for sure I'm set generationally a few
Okay.
generations down. I'm not doing that. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy with it, but well, see, Alpha said niggardly earlier. I don't want to get too niggardly about it. Shout out to
Well,
CFO.
is it more of a control of the environment versus not controlling the environment when it comes to children? I know for me it's
Well,
a big deal. Like, can I control the environment my child is raised in? Do I have impact in that?
right. No, so that's definitely a thing. Like, I brought up again, guys didn't like it. The skills resource piece, like, let's cry about the women. Keisha this, Keisha that. Skills and resources, fam. Stop it. Nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
So it is definitely relative to my resource ability and the environment. And then, obviously if you have more resource, more assets, you can leverage homeschooling, independent schools, this, that, and the third. But I gotta be honest, I never was that gung ho about having children in general.
Okay.
So there's that part. And then because I have been able to do community stuff that's impacted people, young men and women's lives in a positive way, I see more benefit for me sticking with that route.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing out on something. And I have a brother. He has a whole you know couple of generations deep. Now he's a grandfather. He's a grandfather.
Oh
So
wow.
I
Okay.
have nieces and nephews that
Okay.
are, little babies to ones in their 30s.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I like they was just asking me about Thanksgiving. You come in, I'm like, yeah, I go see what the generations. You feel me? So I don't really need to do it for myself. And yeah, the environment is too crazy, and I'm good.
I got a question from the chat. Premium, thank you for the 5 on the super chat. He says, I lost 180 pounds. Wow, he lost 180 pounds 2 years ago, but gained 100 back. But then again, lost 80 again. Um, what's your advice on staying focused and not backsliding again?
I mean, again, you got to get into the whys. Like as I'm getting into this personal training, fitness consulting thing, like what we really get into is the psychology of the whys, the motivation, who you're around, right? Because a lot of people's thing is based on social, familial interactions. If you're around people that help you backslide, you got to hold that L. You got to really evaluate who you're putting yourself around, how
Mm-hmm.
you're investing your energy. You got to look at yourself almost like your own nation, your own country, what your imports, what your exports, how serious you are about business, how much you care about your presentation, you're your own industry slash media company slash marketing department. It's all that. So why is it important for you to not gain that back? You don't want to be sick. There's a bunch of whys we can get into. So
Mm-hmm.
from the psychological standpoint, then part of it is you only know what you know. So then it's what are you eating, right? You get to the what are you eating and why? Are you eating for taste? Are you eating because you're stressed out? Are you eating for just maximum nutrition? there's those kind of things you have to really understand what to eat for, for somebody who's gained weight like that and fluctuated. Unfortunately, there's probably like metabolic damage that's in such a way where if you eat certain things, it's probably going to trigger you holding on to more fat. Um, so it's that much more important that you don't eat certain foods that are going to trigger that weight to stay on. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but you really got to deal with the psychology first, though.
Great answer. Great answer. Real quick, Bray J, thanks for the 10 on the super chat. He says one thing in this relationship manosphere spaces that hasn't been promoted is self improving your teeth. We all saw a manosphere member finally open his raggedy open his raggedy ass mouth, and he had a can opener tooth. Oh God!
Hey, I got my teeth kind of jacked up on the bottom too. To be honest,
that's the whole obsidian effect. Is
no, I was pretty sure I knew who he was talking about,
yeah,
but
yeah. All right, let's get into it. The meat and potatoes of this. Has spreading awareness become its own echo chamber? And the second part of that is, once you spread the awareness, then what? So I want you to tackle the first question, if you don't mind.
it has to be. I mean, the way I see it again, that point with the lemmings or dragged along with the current, that analogy where again, studying this stuff, high 80-90% of people got metabolic issues. If you got metabolic issues, you most likely have cognitive impairment issues. So we're dealing with a bunch of people who are literally mentally deficient or borderline mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
Multiply that just within America, 333 million Americans, cut that in half for adults, whatever. Let's just say 150 million Americans not functioning with the proper mentality. There has to be the people who have the ability to speak to people and captures people's attention. You got a decision to make. Do you just entertain people, or do you make content that overtly is kind of fucking people over, or do you try to spread some kind of awareness about what we're all dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
or a little bit of both, or maybe all three? I don't know. But you got to weigh that, right? Because sooner or later, if we understand there are people, we don't even need to see them as super evil, whatever, but parasitic. That's just how they roll, however you want to look at it. They see you as a resource and they're going to try to leverage you to their benefit. If you understand that and you see that they'll stop at nothing to do it, there is raise the awareness. There's raise the awareness of uh the women are gonna do this to you or whatever. They're gonna do you dirty or this and the third. The red pill, blah blah blah. The so-called red pill. It still has to be. There's benefit to raising awareness, but there still has to be a situation where there's an actual, again, use that phrase, rubber meets the road plan of action.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? What can you do? That's why I get back to the whole thing of, people can talk, echo chamber, spread awareness. I see we're going with that. But where's the actual action point? How do you off ramp that from online talking about it, hearing about it, engaging with that as content? And it's just, oh, let me see who's talking about self improvement now, or this, that, and spreading awareness now, or what is it? Alternative information or conspiracy theory, this, that, and the third, or I know about these families, interwoven families trying to manipulate us. And is this politician part of this deep state, blah, blah, blah. And we got to talk about what's happening here and there. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure. But how is that impacting you on a day-to-day basis? And in such a way where if you're going to spread that or talk about it with other people, where's the thing where we actually change that in some kind of way? Again, we kind of jumped into it, but that's why I keep going back full circle to this food thing, the food exercise thing, because that's going to force you to have to really make some real day-to-day changes. I say it like this. People can talk about spreading awareness of fill in the blank topic, deep state, down to what Keisha gonna do or how she ain't acting right. You could go. What's some other things? So like, help me out with some of the other spread awareness things that you think are like the main.
The Rex Plan 84, Alfred Plan, Agenda 2025. I mean, we grew up in it. Like the boomers didn't know anything because all they knew was TV and the radio. And I think Gen X, the beauty of us is we were the ones that kind of cracked the code and saw things from what it was and did the research and the knowledge and put the knowledge out there. Now I'm to the point where it's like, okay, so now what? Like, okay, we get it. These 13 families, whether they're reptiles or not, they got a plan to subjugate everybody. Okay, so now what?
Okay, so to that point, right? I've been man, William Cooper,
Yeah,
Silent
yeah,
Quiet Wars, late '90s,
yeah.
David Icke, all this, yeah, reptilian shapeshifters and blah blah blah, and fast forward to 2020 CV op, yeah. I mean, sure, it appears that some shady stuff is going on, without a doubt. Club of Rome, blah blah blah, all this good stuff. This is before we were even born. This stuff has been, treat it as a thought experiment. If there's some evil people coming for our freedom, what are we going to actually do about it? We can talk about it. Again, I'm on way more of a rubber meets the road. What can we actually do? Because seeing as of 2 weeks ago, within the last week, 2 weeks, whatever, people still are on some bootlicker, Big Daddy government is going to come save me. And I'm like, y'all haven't figured this out yet. So again, picture looks real bleak, but like I said before, I'm locked in on at least starting with the things I can control. And I gotta say, the more I stay focused on those things, and I'm saying this because I suggest everybody else do this,
Okay,
right?
I'm gonna ask my next question. So should we just focus on individualism as opposed to the collective?
Here's what it is. I think about this a lot, right? Links in a chain, links in a chain, links in a chain. Weakest link. Who's the weakest link? Right now, we got, let's say, 150 adult Americans, 90% with metabolic issues. So by default, there's probably mental health issues of varying degrees. Antidepressants, this, that, and the third through the roof. Consumption of seed oils and all this stuff is just degrading people's minds. Addiction to social media, this, that, and the third, right?
Mhm.
Just doom and gloom. Price of eggs going up. Blah 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 blah. Right? Half the country mad that what's her name didn't win. Other half of the country, by and large, super happy that this other big daddy government guy is going to come save them, maybe, right?
Mhm.
So everybody's in some kind of weird fantasy land, smoke and mirrors kind of illusory thing. But it's like, fam, what did you eat today? Show me your food diary. Show me how you exercise, because that is actually going to impact everything way more, right? So strongest links in the chain. If the majority of this 150 million people are just fat, sloppy, zonked out on drugs, blowing crazy trees, because there's dispensaries damn near everywhere you go in Vegas,
Mhm.
dispensary everywhere. In Oakland, dispensary damn near everywhere. Everybody's blowing crazy trees. Who knows what they're putting in this stuff? Edibles, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's just checked out. Liquor stores everywhere. Cool. Not cool. I'm just saying that sarcastically. So I'm painting a pretty bleak picture, but I think there's hope. There's hope.
So
Trust me.
you just your nature is optimism. Like you're just a naturally optimistic person.
It's like this. It's not even optimism, because here's what it is. It's this. I don't look it, but I'm a fighter to the degree where, fam, I'm not just gonna lay down and just take it. So it's gonna be, oh, let me get to higher ground and be strategic and say, things seem insurmountable. So let me focus on what I can, and let me at least try to be the strongest link in a chain. So it's not individualism. It's me falling back to, I can only control me. Let
Okay.
me make sure myself as a link is as strong as I can be. So then when I do go link with other people, it's going to be easy to identify people who have habits and lifestyle choices that I can see that I can link with.
I like that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then the more you move as a beacon like that, and the more you can see people who move a certain way, you'll be like, oh, I can link with this person. I can link with this person.
Mhm.
So it's technically individualism, but it's really saying, I want to make sure I'm the strongest foundation. I'm the strongest link I can be before I go try to be a liability for other people. And let's multiply that over and over. And then now we got a stronger chain of people who can do something about these 13 families and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Maybe we can talk about, okay, how do we strategize for, 4 years from now, whatever they're going to plan on doing. He's going to be a dictator, this, that, and the third, whatever. I don't trust any of it. But let's think about a parallel society. Let's think about parallel economies. Let's think about these kind of things, just in case maybe these government people are shady, just as a thought experiment. And maybe we need to come with a whole new system, a whole new plan. I don't know. Or I don't know. Maybe we need to try to go to some Central American country and get with their corrupt government and buy enough of land to carve out a whole little section. It's just some kind of parallel get away from this scenario.
Hmm.
But we need strong people that's about that life. That's not going to check out and be like, well, but we can't really make moves because I need Keisha to act right first.
Are you surprised at how important Keisha is to a lot of these guys?
Yes and no. No, because, and this is something I have trouble with, like essentially humanity is being so hammered and beat on. Again, it's the food, right? People don't understand how serious this is. When you disrupt people's metabolism, it's literally degrading people into more of like a animalistic state.
Okay.
So the people are defaulting to animal based drives.
Okay.
So it's that much easier to put people into a fear state, like uh fight or flight,
Hmm.
or into just a sex drive state. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just procreate. So I don't care, no matter what. Everything seems so doomy and gloomy. At the very least, for the purposes of I'm gonna try to get this off and procreate, I'm willing to die for just to have Keisha in my life. And I'm willing to even be a loser, right? But as long as I can do whatever I can to simp out and try to get this nut off and try to seemingly procreate, it's like a psychological effort to do it. It's a failing effort, but I see how they're on like autopilot. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
In a weird psychologically twisted kind of way. It's like autopilots who are nothing else matters. I just want Keisha and get this nut off. I don't need to be successful and build myself up as an actual man that Keisha would want. But in a weird way, I'm just reducing my baseline instincts and my hormones are so thrown off. Just wham, tantrum, tantrum, tantrum. Let me just get this nut off and where's Keisha?
Okay. So let's do the parallel universe paradox thing. If one were to course correct the men and give them access to Keisha, do you think that would help turn the tide?
Course correct the men, give them access to Keisha. Okay, so part of it too, and like I addressed because I've had this discussion with guys, and they're like, "But oh, you're trying to run cover for women and excuse them for everything they're doing," and I'm like, "Nah." Off rip, I'm like 80% of all of humanity is pretty much dumb, just based on the numbers I ran earlier. And I
Right.
halfway say it halfway jokingly on some petty shit, like everybody's dumb. But what I really mean is, if people's high percentage of metabolism is messed up, then their mentality, their brain literally isn't working right.
Hmm.
Right. So just in a more scientific kind of way. Um, and then the way the economy is set up now, where people can make a lot of money based on jobs that don't take any real effort, right? So the power dynamic, and then psychological operation kind of moves with the colleges, boosting feminism, this, that, and the third. These are real things where they're
Yeah.
fake empowering women to, you know, I'm woman, hear me roar, and I'm free, and we don't need a man, and all this, that, and the third. These are all real things. So I don't know. Straightening the men out might not be the ultimate fix. But to that point, I still stand on the idea that you have to be a man with or without, before or after a woman. So I'm not sure it totally answers your question, but
No, no.
uh you
Right,
see where I'm
right.
going?
Yeah, and I think a lot of these guys, it, we do have a sector of men that only see manhood by the number of women you can take down, and it seems to me their whole some of their part of their identity is, okay, do I have access to a woman? Because and you know what black folk, if you got a woman, they look at you different. If you're able to get a woman, even women, if you have a woman, okay, he has value because somebody clearly wants him. Um, it feels like it's an identity issue more than anything. And I don't know at this point. I would say temporary fix. Yeah, help them get access to. So that's one less issue we have to worry about with these men. So then it's like, okay, you got Keisha now. You're gonna have to, do something else outside of. There's no more excuses.
I see where you're going with that, and that's jeez. I
That's bad.
mean, maybe
It's bad.
no, because fam, it can't be you get the goal without doing the work first, and then you build up to what should have got you that reward. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's cart before the horse. I see what you're saying. That's might be what it takes, but it really should be no. Build yourself up as a man first, then the woman will naturally be attracted to you. how it's supposed to kind of work. So if you set it up, I don't know. But here's the thing. So to your point, maybe it will end up like what you're saying because there's been that whole theory of winter is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to KS and
They've been
everybody
saying that
was
for
like,
how many years now? Right, right.
okay, so maybe now though, because I'm hearing more people talk about bearing the brunt of this inflation stuff and automation and this, that, and the third. I don't care about this whole thing because I'm not on some Keisha revenge. I need Keisha to come back to the table, this, that, and the third. The whole concept is laughable to me. But you know, those guys who are hanging their hat on that and they're
Mm-hmm.
waiting. They're gonna have to come back to us, and the love I didn't get in high school, I'm gonna get my redemption. She gonna have to come back to me, and she gonna act right.
Why would you want a woman that didn't want you to begin with to come back? That's just a recipe for disaster. It doesn't make that. That just logically makes no damn sense. But yeah, shout out to
We're not talking logic though. That's the thing. So now we
yeah,
got guys acting like effeminate and the hopes and dreaming and writing in their books and I will have Keisha. People like me.
yeah.
I'm a good person. Daily
Daily
affirmations and
affirmations. Yes.
uh reading astrology charts and whatnot. These are men laying on their chest on the bed, hoping for Keisha, fingers
Mm-hmm.
crossed, and kicking their feet up, growing their locks out, flipping their hair around. And so maybe with the economy, maybe with the I don't know, because they just did a number with the Kamala Harris thing. So now black women back and they super hating black men. So I don't know. I'm not in it. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not in the mix of it, so I can stand back and watch and just be like, "Oh, y'all goofy," but this is hilarious.
You know what? I don't know where black men go from here. It's like you clearly life is showing you you can't win for losing. You know you're just a useless. You're just a tool at this point to be turned on and off at whatever whoever's whim. Like at what point? When do they start putting themselves first? Like nigga, like 78% of y'all voted for this woman, and your queen is still displeased with you.
Fam. That's why I'm betting on sooner or later, black folks, black men, white people, everybody is going to run into this wall of the only way to go, all roads lead back to I got to do the self improvement thing first. It
Okay.
has to be that. That we're gonna hit the only way we're getting out of some golden era, some Aquarian age, golden era, new level of consciousness, blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
is we got to get back to the eating exercise thing. And I'm saying partially, I'm saying this because I'm seeing these channels talk about the diet fitness wars, vegan versus plant-based omnivore carnivore, and because I made that sort of that pivot myself, so I went and looked into that and realized, oh, a lot of people are doing some very interesting things where they're changing their diets and having a lot of benefits
Mm-hmm.
and running up money doing that, and hearing anecdotal experiences of people just eating a more plant-based diet, getting off processed food, and myself doing it,
Mm-hmm.
seeing it like, oh, and I'm saying that to say there's money to be made in the whole diet coaching, fitness, nutrition training, blah blah blah. And not only is there money to be made for early adopters, because fitness industry is big, but by far there's way more people who need the health
Right.
coaching
Yeah.
and training to the
Yeah.
point where it's way skewed, like, you know what I mean, like in
Mm-hmm.
favor of people. If you're an early adopter on riding this wave up, you can make a ton of money. But I would argue that the only way life gets better for America, for the world, everybody's going to have to stop eating fake food for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way around that. So what's going on in your household, with your relationship, with your dating and mating, red pill, cold approach, all the game talk, everything possible to Harris, and you can vote however you want. You don't have to worry about what your husband's saying to, well, the women don't like me unless I have some swaggy chia pet beard or a dangly earring, or I gotta have the cool drip. Literally almost every way you could slice it, everything you could look at, from culture, from race, outside of race, to whatever, all roads lead back to what are you eating? Are you exercising? Get fit so your body works right and your mind works right. That's the hottest thing smoking. It's the only way out of this.
I think that's the easiest, hardest thing. for most people because you have
Uh,
to experiment with your body. You have to be in tune with your body to know what works, what doesn't work. Like, and I don't think most people are built to do that.
and here's the thing: the state of the world is showing us that what you're saying is absolutely true.
Mhm.
But the crazy part about it is, as soon as people start doing it, they'll be like, "Whoa!" Like they're literally literally a month away, 2 months away, 3 months away from life changing lifestyle changes
Mhm.
that change the trajectory of their life, and
Mhm.
subsequently extrapolate that out to thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. The world changes for sure just by people changing how they eat.
Mhm.
That is not a hyperbolic statement. Not at all. Like, it's that serious. Like, it literally changes the world for the better. All of the political issues stuff gets remedied. All the dating, mating, all that stuff gets remedied by it doesn't fix everything, but 80% of all of what's going on, foolishness in the world, can be fixed with people just changing their diet situation for
I
sure.
agree, and I'll take it one step further. I think that is part of being selfish. There's times when I be like, "Leave me alone. Don't text me. I'm at the gym. That's my me time." And I think that you just have to start ingratiating men on how baby steps on how to be selfish. And if self improvement, changing your diet, tweaking it, just tweaking the diet, getting to the gym a little bit more often, if that's the first steps of building blocks of being selfish for yourself, then yes, I welcome that because it requires a level of selfishness. Like I'm taking time out of the world. I'm going to give myself me time to go to this gym and work on me and my temple. And I think that's the very first step in doing so. I totally agree with you. Wholly agree.
Yeah, no, it has to be that. And to the point earlier, it's not individualism. Is in your case even more so, right? Because you're the dude, right? I saw a stream. You were like, "I'm not voting to be." How do you say? I'm not voting for a woman to rule my household, or something to that
Oh yeah,
effect.
I would not. Yeah,
Paraphrasing.
yeah, 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 yeah. What? No.
Right.
Yeah,
And when you said it, I was like, "Yeah, duh. That's just default off rip. I feel
yeah,
that." But to the point you just made, yes, it's up to your wife or any guy, your wife, your lady, whatever. She should want you to go do your me time to be that,
yeah,
build yourself, because that's going to make you be that dude that she deep down wants you to be,
yeah.
or overtly wants you to be, or needs you to be.
Right.
Because I say it all the time. Let me know what you think about this. When we talk about, like, a leadership hierarchy, whatever, it has to be the men, because the biggest threat to men are other men or other groups of men.
Yeah.
So it's up to men to be strong and be leaders for sure.
And the beauty of my situation is there'd be times I'd be like, I don't feel like it. No, she'd be like, you're the man, you're the husband, you have to do it. I just be like, fuck, you're right, and I go do it. So
You can't.
she,
Hey,
yeah,
you get called out like that. What you gonna do? Be like,
yeah, I ain't got no choice but. So yeah,
and that's love, though.
yeah, yeah,
That's a true
yeah.
loving act.
I don't get upset.
For
I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Let me go
it,
ahead.
got to be that.
Yeah,
So for the guys that's saying, I ain't self improving for a bitch, just like, fam, stop it. That's not how it works. It's you being the best you can be, with or without the woman. Stop playing that little game. I ain't self improving for a bitch. When I look like I in the gym for a bitch, it's like, fam, you're a bitch saying that. No, you do that. Whatever your fitness routine is, it's literally do hard work so you get stronger and adapt, dummy.
you,
And it's not
you
about the woman. The woman is secondary to that.
You know what's funny? I remember years ago when you and C Boogie were saying this, and every guy that had pushback or had something smart to say, they would never cam up, or if they cammed up, they just looked hella just sloppy. And still to this day, the majority of the guys that gave you pushback still look hella sloppy, will not cam up, like the opposite end of physical fitness, So
Yeah, no, and that those are the people. To your point earlier, they're the ones that are basically telling on themselves, right?
yeah,
But the thing is, there's always going to be some dudes. It's a strata of apex men to
mhm,
the the not so apex men, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And cool, but we can't have it to where it's so top heavy with like the apex men, and then they talk about the 80, 20, or the 10% of guys that's the high value men, blah blah blah. Like,
mhm.
that whole thing isn't a science, but there's something to be said for a strata of men. Some dudes are just destined to just be whack, and they got
Yeah.
internet services so they can go online and talk and never have to cam up, and can be detractors from actually just being a man. Like, fam,
Yeah.
stop it. or create a whole industry. Come sit at my foot, and I'm a master teach to you about how you don't really have to be the best you can be. And let's just talk about what women who don't owe you anything owe you. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. Um,
Like, how does what part of the game is that?
it's crazy because yeah, we're going on what 2018. We're going on almost 9 years from when we were having pretty. I think we were all on the same page as far as what needed to be done as far as on the men's side, and then somehow it just went to hell. And I'm still trying to figure out what was the point, the breaking point, or the separation point. And even for me, I was like, this is starting to get weird now. Like, this is not what we signed up for, and
Right.
it's so disappointing because now if it's online, then I definitely now I'm starting to see it offline to a certain extent. Those that aren't successful in life are gravitating towards online, and airing their grievances out, whether it's legit or not. And it's like, okay, now what? You've
Oh, so
had,
it's that, and then just the double over because content creators, like, man, you know it. Where's Silva at? Because man, he apparently knows about so many channels. In the past, let's just say 6 months, the explosion of reaction channels
yeah,
from black and even more so, I'm seeing Asian dudes, seeming like Filipino dudes, obviously Far East Korean dudes,
okay,
clip after clip of black woman, white woman, whatever, talking about whatever their grievances about the men. Either they're not approaching, or they're not going to the singles events, or just every permutation of women, clips of women complaining that they're getting off TikTok or whatever, just reaction
wow,
videos.
okay,
And more content creators running it up. But I'm seeing specifically more non-black content creators doing with black content in their videos back to back to back to back.
really
Yeah, it's
interesting.
crazy. I thought about doing a video on that and be like, this is interesting. See what you guys are doing. You guys just laid a foundation for other people to pick on the carcass of the so-called black community. And as it's in shambles and dies a thousand deaths, the vultures just come through and just pick at the carcass of it in
Every
perpetuity.
every
And y'all
time,
just keep serving it up on a
yeah,
platter.
every time
Keep the
without
analogy
fail.
going.
Jeez, man, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And here I am like, hey, fam, life is good. Like I thought about it to where the rise of the doom and gloom content and just quit your job and just free ball it and just do whatever. Cause you've seen this wave, right? Where people are
Mm-hmm.
just, oh, everything's so bad, just quit your job. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. I don't know. Well, I don't make enough to pay my bills anyway. And then I get home and I don't have a woman in bed with me and it's just stressful. Just quit. And it's like, and then what? Just be a YouTuber? Wait, what's the backup plan? G Dizzle was talking about me and G Dizzle was talking about this a couple of weeks back. And it's just wild. So it's like, nah, I don't think that's the move either. And I'm saying this because so many people in real life that I know and online I'm seeing almost gravitating more to unhappiness, doom and gloom, that energy, that content, to the point where it's like, I want to push more optimism, more, positive self improvement.
Yeah,
If I really talked about how my life is moving right now, I'm gonna lose more and more subs. Not that it doesn't make or break me, but
yeah.
everything is trending more seemingly in. We want to be entertained by resonating with doom and gloom, and we're going to call that people just being authentic and vulnerable and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, I'm over here not even doing anything super crazy. My life is boring. I just work and work out, but my work is, creative work that I love doing,
Okay.
and built a career for myself. And then I'm just taking care of myself, the best health I've been ever in my life, on the later side of my 40s. And I can travel and jump up and do whatever I want, what I want. I'm literally looking at the Vegas skyline right now, or the Las Vegas Strip, just a symbol of people out here getting it, making moves, wasting a lot of money. But I chose to be here. I decided, made it happen. I could go jump in a car, hop on a plane, and go back to Oakland and get it in. I made it my life how I want,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm loving it. And I just keep it simple. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I love that. But has social media and even YouTube, whatever, giving people a false sense of reality of how one's life should be? What's a successful life? What does that look like?
Yeah.
What's a healthy relationship with an opposite sex look like? And I would think it would be boring to most people. because it's there's
Yes.
structure, there's a routine. Mutual respect is boring because if he's not Ike Turner, she's not Tina Turner, you're knocking each other's heads off. It's a lot of us grew up in violence, dysfunction, and you know, you don't love me or bitch, I kill you. Well, nigga, you ain't shit. A lot of us grew up in that type of stuff. So to see, two people not fighting and get along and have an actual conversation, that may not register to a lot of people that grew up and say that's not love. That's not how relationship
Oh,
should be. You know.
yeah,
So
they need it to be a little bit toxic and
listen, I mean, I get it. Spice is okay sometimes. Every blue moon, every blue moon, let it get spicy. But no, 99% of your dealings with your mate should be non-problematic.
look, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this something I've never really said, but nah, I ain't even gonna go into that. But here's the thing. Yeah, the social media thing got people living in fantasy land about, a lot of guys don't even understand the women they should want to deal with. They want big booty video vixen chick, so they think they got to be swaggy like the video guys, right?
Mm-hmm,
So they're
mm-hmm.
shaping a whole concept around pop culture. And I've talked to guys younger than me about this, and they just act, they get it, but then they can't unlock from it because they're
Okay,
caught up in it. They don't really want to hear it, but they get it. They don't like it being pointed out because they want to fight it, but they know it's true if you really, walk them down. So it's an interesting thing. And obviously that's going to play out with how you deal with the women. Again, I'll be the first to tell you, growing up, my interactions with women, I've dealt with a lot of women in my life, and I stand on that by and large. There's a high probability that you're going to deal with a whole lot of headache dealing with most women. It just is what it is. And the same goes true for women too, dealing with men. But, for the guys out there that I've talked to for years, it's like, fam, yeah, strap in for some drama, for some foolishness, for some
yeah,
fuckery. Be ready for that. Be laced up and be in a position to where you can grab your keys and go to fuck home or boot her out. Like always stand on your shit like that.
okay.
And let it be known that, you're gonna stand on principles and be willing to walk away. Be willing to, you know,
Oh, let me
turn in
stop you
that
right
that
there. At what point all relationships have a growing pain? So if you're talking about a 10, 15, 20-year relationship, there are growing pains, right? And maybe to some people that'd be like, oh no, that's a red flag. It's time to dip out. Or that could be just a natural growing pain of a relationship, learning yourself, learning to not be selfish, learning to accept criticism from your mates and not go off the deep end and vice versa. That takes time. Um, do you see it that way? Could you see it that way? Because I think a lot of people misconstrue, a red flag or just there's ebbs and flows with this thing, man. It's not always going to be sunny and rain, whatever. But I think people need to recognize what growth in a relationship looks like or what it is instead of just nah, bitch, I'm out. Like it's wait. What do you
oh,
mean? Wait.
okay, so man, you said a lot there, right? Because in my uh high level experience in super deep relationships, I'm saying that sarcastically, uh it's become very clear to me that most people's relationships are built on foundations of actual just straight fuckery.
Okay.
So, oh, she had a big booty. Oh, we used to blow trees together. Oh, you know, my homegirl hooked me up with blah blah blah, or her homegirl just went to that party and met blah blah blah, or my homegirl, just these things. My cousin's friends, sisters, milkman's brother-in-law hooked me up with blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and engaged the whole thing from a position of there wasn't even any real like anchor of common interest
Okay.
in the first place.
Okay.
And I would argue that that's most people's issue. Like I've actually realized people are forcing the issue like, oh, the sex, just pure, just kicking it. Netflix and chill all the way. You look up 5 years in, and then yeah, when people start thinking, okay, you know what? It's time for me to get life popping. Then one person wants to stagnate, and then that's the growing pains you're talking about. I'm just saying, I'm just giving one of the millions of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
permutations of
Yeah. Yeah.
these kind of things. So I think you're absolutely correct. I think most people's engagements are absolutely wrong how they started it off in the first place and how
Okay.
they're trying to go about starting it now.
Okay.
Again, the woman in my life that I interact with, love her to life. she is so on board with what I'm trying to do,
Hmm.
to the point where there's very little friction ever.
Right. Good. Good.
And if there is friction, then we just got to talk it out. And I'm a pretty good communicator. And, to the point where it's like, look, it's based on a framework of I'm really trying to create a situation where we can be free and not be pinned down. And I'm a living example of, hey, if you grind out, you can work for yourself. You can have more freedom than most people would dream they
Hmm.
could.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not super balling, I'm not super rich, but I have a lot more freedom and wealth in the sense that I can almost on any given day wake up and make my schedule how I want it
Okay.
and make money and have it flowing in ways that, I'm not pinned to somebody's time schedule or somebody's time clock like I
That's dope.
was for most of my adult life. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. That's dope. I love it. I love it. I just like to hear, people in just healthy, functioning, high functioning relationships, and they're like, well, where's the drama? No, there's no drama. And if we have a spat, it's less than 24 hours and we're back to regularly scheduled program. Like you said, you being a great communicator, a lot of these guys I don't think can communicate their issues with the woman in a way that she can, for her to understand it. Not saying you dumb yourself down to her level, but put it in a framework where she understands why you see things the way you do. And then when she gets it, then the problem is solved for the most part, you know?
Or let me I'm sorry, I got to go here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We got to go super petty mode because most dudes can't even dream about thinking about hoping and praying about interacting with women how I have and
Okay.
would and
Okay.
do because they are subservient. Hence the voting numbers that we just came across with the Miss Harris.
Right.
In other words, a lot of these dudes are at the mercy of their position with their women in such a degree where they are not the man in the relationship. They are not
Mm.
really wearing the pants. And I think that speaks to the idea of the legions of weak and weakened men out here that are, you know, growing like gremlins. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, don't get them wet,
Don't get
fam.
them
Like,
wet and
it's
don't
all
feed them at the
bad.
midnight. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
these gremlins are getting wet. Uh, and it's just more weak men. So I just say that to say like that's something I've been talking about this whole time, and guys don't like it to where it's like no, be willing and able and have a foundation to where you can walk away. And now that's a grimy thing to say, but I think I saw Uncut Underground here, Thai City. We talked about in Ramil, how do you hold a woman accountable? It's like now I've heard you say some things about how certain other cultures can do certain accountability things.
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna go that route. I'm not married. Cool. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, my accountability, and this may be a Bay Area thing, is look, we'll just grab our keys and just keep it moving. And that's always been the accountability where it's like, look, if you ain't what you about to lose is rolling with me. You see what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
want to be with this program, and the the arm twist is look, you riding with it or not? Because if not, I'm out. I'm just saying that to say most dudes aren't in a position where they could do that, either
Mhm.
from a financial position or just from an abundance position. Meaning, well, I couldn't even think about pulling another woman, or because I'm fat and sloppy and this, that, and the third, or I'm broke and whatever.
Mhm.
I get off work and just play video games for 4 hours, and just all right, don't let me start. But you see where I'm going right there. Most of the
No, no.
guys don't have the power dynamic to where they could just roll like that to the point where like my conflict resolution is pretty simple.
Yeah.
And I'm a living example of, hey, all I do is work out and work and just come up with ways to get more free. So if she's looking at me and not feeling that, I'm like, what's wrong with her? And I'm willing to be like, well, then we'll just be friends or go our separate ways.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I would be the worst example of oof, I mean, we've gone through it, and I'm sure there were times if you looked at it, you could have been like, okay, that's a good time to leave. Should have left in, should have left in, you should have left, should have left, should have left. But and if I did leave, I came back. And because we got through it, maturity, growth, selflessness, whatever the case may be, and understanding the roles, our shit is so cool. It kind of it worries me to. I'm like, it's going too good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm waiting for the bullshit. and it doesn't show up, and I'm like, well, let me create some bullshit just to make myself feel better. I would do shit like that. See what I'm saying? I had to learn to stop doing that because I'm like,
Yo,
yeah, yeah, right.
that's toxic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to get out of that shit, man. Like, so I would never use me as an example. I'm probably the worst example, but I have a certain peace in my life. You know, when I know I'm coming home to no drama. Like it's like, wow, this is how it's supposed to be, huh? And sometimes,
Yeah, I've heard my whole life, no, relationships are hard and it's gonna be all these things.
yeah,
And I was always like,
nah,
nah, no.
it should
I can
be.
always just go.
Yeah,
And I get it. Like, obviously, I think your situation is way different than mine. Um, but yeah, it can't be I'm expecting the drama, I'm gonna create the drama. And then once you realize everything is cool and you got it kind of baked in, then I think it's just long term trajectory. Where are we both getting to? Like,
right.
we're looking though. Again, for me, how do we get more free? How do we create a situation where, you know, building business interests that create a situation where I have more freedom, can make more moves? How do I replicate that over and over in perpetuity to the point where I just never am at the mercy of when somebody decides to flip the switch on another lockdown or whatever? My
Hmm.
investment game is just to a degree where I have no worries. Financial independence, like, and do it in style and be healthy.
Hmm.
That's it. Like,
Yeah,
so I would imagine in theory, you want the same thing with your wife, your daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I don't even have kids. So you have a whole other level of investment and responsibility.
yeah. I mean, this experience, man, like the whole, it's what, been 10 years for us. Like it just kind of flew by. But there's moments in time I remember, like, ooh, I did that, huh? That was not good. Or I remember, and there's good times, like, okay, that's why, and she did that. Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. And like I said, it just somehow it just clicked the last few years, and it's like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be.
Mm,
Oh, okay. And I'm like, okay, let me get out of my own way and let me let in what is good for me and embrace that, pour into that. And I don't have any complaints. I mean, she's, I call her needy at times, but it's in a joking manner. But hell, it's good to have somebody that's, waiting for you to come home. Like, okay, yeah, 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 I get it. So I'm enjoying this part of this stage in life, and I'm not
that's
gonna take
dope,
it for
man.
granted. So yeah, yeah,
Salute to that.
yeah,
That's where it is. And then, right, that tied in with the whole thing of, you need that me time with the
yeah,
gym,
yeah.
or if you don't feel like it, she's nudging you.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. That's love. And I mean, 10 years in the making, just worked out some of the kinks in the last couple of years where you're more ahead of the game than a lot of
Yeah.
our people. We're such a hurt people in our traumas and epigenetic traumas. And you're in a better position than most, I would argue. You see what I'm saying?
I'm just fortunate, man, because I know the divorce rates are in the toilet, and a lot of people are suffering in their marriages, and I get it. But I'm just extremely fortunate, and I just had to learn to basically grow up. That is, at the end of the day, I had to grow up, and accept my place and my lot in life, in this household. So yeah,
Let me ask you this, because you asked me certain questions about sort of future trajectory, um, talking about, spreading awareness of kind of the perils of what's going on, what we're being served up. You have your mini me, just the one?
and two,
Two.
but
Okay.
I got the one. Mini me is one I got custody of. So
Oh, okay.
I can only worry
Okay.
about the ones I can control.
I feel it. I
Unfortunately,
feel it.
yeah.
So things are going good with wifey. Where do you think the trajectory of this stuff goes? You're asking me this, but I want to flip it on you because I'm interested to know, because you have a whole different perspective and you got more skin in the game to a certain degree, just by sheer virtue of being a father, right? I
Yeah,
respect
yeah,
parents. Again, people all these years have thought I was saying like anti-black love, this, that, and the third. I'm all for, like, I have a model in my life. My older brother is married to his wife for 18 years or whatever,
yeah,
16 years, 17 years. And they doing it right. So I
right.
see that. So the people that's doing it right, I'm like, yes, please stay together. I want to see y'all doing the thing, doing the black love thing, and just please grow them kids up, get them right, make sure
Yeah,
they don't become uh cannon fodder for the uh, social media, pop culture era. Don't let them fall into the traps. Be the real leaders. Be the real examples.
mhm,
I like to see that. So I say that to say, based on what we've just experienced, let's just say for the last year, the current trajectory, where do you think all this stuff is going? How does it play into just sort of your little pocket of reality.
Oh, this shit's going to hell, bro. I'm not gonna sit here. Let me listen. And I want to have more kids, but I'm fearful at the same time. But it's just going to hell, bro. Slowly but
You said
surely.
you want another one at 50. It's like
Yeah,
you
I do.
want
Like,
another 50 soon, right?
hey, man, that's on my bucket list. It's weird, I know, right? But um, it's going to hell. I listen. I, I'm shaping. I'm trying to do as much as I can for mini me to where there's enough buffer around her that she can bump her head and not throw her off her track altogether. I know she's gonna have to learn her little lessons her way, but I want to be able to have a it set to where if shit goes left, I'm a phone call away. I can fix it or help mitigate it. That's the best that I can hope for. You know, I'm fearful for these kids, and because I see the other kids that they have to deal with their mental
Exactly.
issues. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my kids with your autistic child. I'm sorry. I get it. And listen, and I work with autistic kids. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are seriously bright, but they need a lot of structure. And you get them in an environment where there's no structure, they spaz out and don't and have hard times self diffusing. I don't want my kid around that. Okay, just to be fair, to be safe for everybody. I want my kid around those that would challenge her. Some of those I would deem smarter than her, and you know, as much I would try to control her environment as much as possible, so that way, you know, when she's out on her own, I can still be the safety net that my parents were for me. My whole thing is if I can just match what my parents did for me, that's a win. That's a win. I'm not even trying to surpass my folks. I just want to be able to, because there's times, mom, dad, fucked up. Okay, I'm on my way. You know, just with a phone call. If I can't do that, I'm messing up. You know, but I'm extremely fearful for the not just my kid, but everybody's kids. These, this man, listen. We talk about the mental health. These same parents are having these kids, and they dump these kids off on us, the society, and now they're our responsibility. No, no, no. That's not how
Yeah.
this works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for being long winded, bro.
No, 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 not at all. I mean, it's interesting to hear it through your lens, because I could say a lot of things about that because obviously you was asking me earlier, well, you don't want to have one. I was like, wait a minute, fam. Hold on. What have we been talking about? Well, how do you see it? Yeah, it's all bad. Wait, what? So wait, am I tripping? You just gaslight me? Wait, so I'm crazy when I got concerns, but then you just listed some pretty serious concerns. But I'm the weirdo. Okay, I got you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I did do that, didn't I? My bad, bro.
Blame me. It did me dirty.
What you know? What you know? What's funny? When people that have kids get around people with no kids, we feel like you just don't know what you're missing out on. Like those first few months when they start to crawl and they walk and they talk. Like I want you to experience that. I want you to see that. Like that's just a parent to non-parent thing. Like those little joys and moments, priceless. And I would hope one day you would get to experience that. Because if I could do this all over again and clone mini me from day one and do it all over again, heartbeat. You know, so it's the joys and when they become self-aware and self-discovery, those are the moments that I want for you to I wish you experience one day, you know, if you decide to have kids. So
Yeah, no, no, no. Like the thought of it is interesting. Like how fascinating it would be, or to be like, oh my god, this little mini me, and then nurture and care for this little mini boy version of me or a girl version of me even
yeah.
more because I've heard a lot of my homies got daughters and they're like, yeah, something about a daughter where it's just whole other level, and I'm like, damn, yo, dude, this sounds dirty, but I kind of see, I think I get it. I can only it's an abstraction, but because yeah, you ready to destroy the world over your daughter, but then with a son, it's like, whoa.
Oh, now see that's
Knowing what we know about what they're doing to assail the masculinity, like you got to go that much harder to like really shape this young fella up. And
oh yeah.
hopefully there's the whole thing of like, I try to be careful with guys, like, yeah, be careful the vetting process of the women you deal with.
Oh
And
yeah.
because imagine you go that route, you think it's good, everything's good, and then until it's not good, and there's some kind of vindictive kind of behavior, and the child is in the crossfire of that,
Yeah.
and just all the ways it can go wrong.
You know, an
And
easy.
people are like, "Oh, you're fearful," so it's like more like calculating.
Oh no, you know an easy way to know where a woman stands at with the kids. If you have a say you with a woman, you ask her if you have a son, and I would ask a woman, so don't you think the son should go with the father when he turns 7? Well, what do you mean? Why? Because at
Oh,
that point he don't need you, mom. Now it's my
uh,
it's my turn at this point, because I have to get him ready for the real world. You can't do that. And if she rebuffs or it's like, what you mean? That's my child. Oh, okay. It was nice knowing you. Or we put on this condom. It's like,
okay.
goddamn, you know?
Interesting point.
Yeah,
And then back in reality, dudes are like, "Oh, I'm not passing up on some pussy."
yeah,
So there's that.
yeah.
But no, that's a great point. And again, Bay Area behind woke enemy lines. Uh, it doesn't take a man to raise a young man. A woman can do it just as good because we're
The
all equal
dumbest.
and blah blah blah. And it's like,
I don't even
fam.
bother debating women on that. I'm like, you know what? You got it. You got it. Those are your
Yeah.
kids. You got it.
It's off the rails. Like, and again, so I just asked you your outlook on this versus, your marriage, family situation is going good, despite what some other guys around the world in Thailand might think. Just be petty. Just be petty. You
Hey,
gotta be. We
I'm here
go
for it.
back.
I'm here for it.
And shout out to him, but he got to hold the L with some of the stuff he was saying with that. He's just bringing up some of the petty stuff that we can, for the audience, some people can reflect on some of these things and laugh.
Yeah.
Uh, but I ask you how everything's going, and you're like, "Oh, it's all bad." But what do you think though? Like, at least where I'm at with it, because with G Dizzle, I think he's in here many times over the years. He's like, "Hey, I want some hopium." Certain things I used to say about the so-called Black community and the trajectory of how we can fix it. The COVID thing set me straight on that and let me know, okay, yeah, no, multiple things, but that officially, Black communities cooked. Um, it's Kamala thing, Black communities extra cooked. How can it be? His ashes got cooked more. You took the ashes and put it in a hotter furnace and cooked the ashes. It's like, fam, beat a dead horse. Cook the ashes more. Uh, But so I'm just on this whole other thing to where, okay, we're gonna take the race thing out of it, the whole gender thing out of it, because they're gonna weaponize everything.
Yeah.
So again, you say individualism. I'm like, nah, because there's a certain collective strength and numbers thing we've got to do to flip this. But it has to be your me time and you build yourself first.
Hmm.
Because what do you think about that? Am I at least you think I'm on to something with
Oh no,
that?
no, no. I
You see,
agree. Everything starts with self, and then if you find like-minded individuals, that's even greater. But for the most part, I would, for a lot of guys that start that journey, they may have to lone wolf it for a while until they find another, you know, pack or whatever to kind of run with and commune with. But um, I'm not built for no lone wolf type of shit. Beyond, even though in a weird way, I have been. I don't desire that. I know a lot of guys be like, yeah, I want to be a Sigma male. I don't want to be by. I was like, that's a lonely existence. I don't want that.
I mean, I see it from both sides. The way I think of it now, because again, I got to do a video on this. I got a video or a compilation. So I came across some of the Doomer Gloomer YouTube channels, and I was gonna
Mm,
kind of roast them up and just make some content out of it. Because everything I'm doing now is spinning together my background with the media stuff, propaganda from like a mental health perspective, along with the actual physical fitness, mental fitness, the tie-in of that, right?
right, right.
So I'm looking at how do I take content and jokingly in a petty kind of way, make fun of it and then tie it back into here's why the rubber's got to meet the road on you really being about it for yourself
Yeah,
and build yourself up first.
yeah.
And you can't be crying. Either that, just go ahead and just self terminate, get yourself up out of here,
Makes sense.
self delete.
Yeah,
Just go ahead because I don't want to hear the crying. You know what I mean? Like, you don't cry. It was so hard to spam.
just
Just get
yeah,
up, just go ahead and just do that then
yeah.
because we don't need to hear this. Like, just you're not built for it then. Like, okay, so I'm just where I'm at with it is this. I have a lot of friends, associates, blah blah blah. But the guys I actually kick it with, the way it's worked out, I only interact with people where there's real common interest. So it's gonna be a few things. It's either we're gonna be on the phone or talking in person about some kind of business models, interests, investment strategy stuff,
Right.
or it's gonna be fitness, working out, whether it's gym, outside, whatever, or some kind of weapons training kind of scenario. Or what was the other thing I was gonna say? It's always that. It's always something to that effect. Like literally the common interest of what I'm all about. That's where so I'm not Sigma lone wolfing it because I only really interact with people that's on the same energy I'm on.
Right.
So that's my friend group right there, my peer group. Now that's a limited kind of thing because most dudes my age is like, oh, well, I gotta watch the game, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess the return on the investment. I don't know, not to hate on that, but there's a lot I can say about that. But I'm saying versus the guys that are part of the doom and gloomer content thing is I'm grown men. I'm 40 years old. I don't have any kids and I don't have any friends and life is miserable and okay. And then I say, well, go to the gym, go work on yourself. Like people care so much about this whole friend thing. Like I can take it or leave it. Like I'm about quality over quantity.
Right.
You
Well,
see what I'm saying? Like
it's funny.
having
Everything you
friends just for the
mentioned,
sake of having friends.
yeah, everything you mentioned is like the main core tenets of basically manhood. Like, if it's not adding to you, then you don't engage in it. So, and I only deal with those that engage in the same virtues that that I extol as well. So, yeah, yeah, especially with the firearms training, like shit, like hey, sign me up, yes, you know,
It, it got to be that.
yeah,
Like, and then it's fun, and then you're gonna meet other guys who, or for guys that are, single, trying to, beating their head over about the women. I don't know. For guys to be like, I don't agree on, approaching women in the gym, but there's something to be said for if you go to a gym enough, you're going to end up having like a gym family. People you see, I have people downtown Oakland, gym there, people I've been literally seeing for years,
mhm.
over a decade, and to see them and chop it up with them and be like, oh, what's up? How's your family? Blah, blah, blah. Like you could really meet people and vet out and know at the very least a guy meeting a woman in the gym in that circumstance, she's about that fitness discipline
And
and there's
that's
a common interest and you're
a
both
tight knit
healthy.
community as
Her
well. The fitness community is like they're like yeah they family. Especially if you find the right ones. Yeah,
better than, oh, I met some rando in a club with a big booty drinking and twerking on dudes all night. Like it's standing around a VIP with, stupid long nails and on her phone and whatever
don't
goofy
forget the
shit.
head pat. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Let me get this super chat. Chef Campsy, thank you for the five, bro. The world needs more real male role models. Much respect. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you, thank you. Um, I've had you on for almost 2 hours. Yeah, I know you got stuff to do. What should what takeaways would you would you want people to walk away with at this stage in life, at this stage in the game of life, moving forward, seeing how things are progressing, whether you agree or not? What takeaways do you should they have or walk away with at this point?
Uh, I would say, hopium style, opportunity, 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 options, opportunity. Offers are being made to you to give away your freedom, to make yourself sick. You can decline those offers. Declining those offers will give you more options, more opportunities. Opportunities, options like to go travel, see the world, to empower yourself, to make yourself stronger, to have more abundance, manifest more abundance. I say that jokingly, but that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at with it. And most of it is declining offers of just bullshit. You see what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
refining myself till I can say, nah, I'm not doing that. And the food, diet, nutrition thing is a big deal. The exercise thing is a big deal. Sleep, saying no to this thing or the show that's on, pause it, watch it later, go to sleep. I still struggle with that. So a lot, take advantage of the free stuff, disconnect from a lot of the drama. If the friends are drama, distance yourself from that friend. Quality over quantity. Really assess what you're dealing with, because nobody's coming to save you, and all the excuses you give yourself ultimately There's only so much time in the day. You're never going to get that back.
Yeah.
You're going to look back at that at a certain point and be like, damn, I should have made a move on that. But before you know it, you're going to have some kind of health issues that you're going to try to make excuses for. Medicine just full of just this drug, and that drug for that drug. And somebody, it's going to be that much more easy for you to get caught up in the drama of politics and what's going on with this friend or this, coworker or whatever, and you find yourself that much more pinned down by your job and the commute and this. Get out from under it as quickly as possible, and it's going to have to start with the it, broken record. It has to start with the food. It has to be that.
Okay, one last question. It just popped into my mind. Were you disappointed by anybody close to you with their reaction to the election? Because it
Not
happened
close.
to me. I asked because it happened to me. I was like, oh damn, like you fell for it, or
Not
like
not super close to me. Like I
okay,
have again, layers and buffers of who I would call friends, associates, whatever. The closest people to me all know it's a bunch of nonsense
okay,
and just laugh at it. But there's people because I have varying degrees of layers again. But a lot of my people who I know from the Bay, associates, people I've worked with, either didn't want to talk to me about it because they were all up in their feelings and short circuiting about it. And
okay,
they know my stance and they knew I was
okay.
going to roast them or get on them and be like, huh, hold that L. See, you took the offer to buy into it.
Yeah.
So now it's all in your mind and you have some emotional reaction to this. But you could take a page out of my book and say, well, yeah, we know this is some kind of weird illusion where they're giving us the idea that we can vote for this person or that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you chose to invest your energy and your emotions into that. Notice how I'm unfazed by it.
Right.
I'm saying this to people and they kind of don't want to hear it because they know it's true. Right?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. The ultimate takeaway has to be nobody's coming to save you. You got to figure it out for yourself, from the dating issues to, relations with even a would be government that is obviously a rogue, non-representative government. We got to be honest about that too. Nobody's coming to save you. If your ultimate agenda in life is to partner with some woman, man or woman, whatever, dating, mating, relationships, well, that's still going to be your success with that. Whether you're looking for a mate or you already have a partner, the success for that and keeping the success is going to be directly relative to how much you're taking care of your body, because what you're putting in your body, what you're feeding your mind, your eyes and your ears are going to impact how you interact and relate with this person. There's no way around it.
My
If
man,
people can
A1.
fuss and fight with that, yeah, all day.
All day. And they will. Where can everybody find you, bruh?
I wanted to drop my link in what you call it.
Yeah.
Go to at AM1 Media and at AM1 Lifestyle. So I'm about to be dropping more of the fitness lifestyle content, just a little bit of motivation, just kind of what I'm doing, just my boring little life and stuff I'm doing to stay fit in my 40s, and the kind of things that allow me to just live in abundance and manifest cool shit into my life
Yeah.
and just be creative. So yeah, at AM1 Media and at AM1 Lifestyle. Y'all go check that out.
My man. Thank you for coming through, bro, as always.
Yeah, no, big fun, and yeah, that breezed by quick. Always a blast with you, man. I appreciate you.
For sure, always. Yep.
All right, bro.
All right. Yo, shout out to AM1. Shout out to C Over. Tomorrow night, Walt Diddy. Oh, I'm working, y'all. I'm working. So with that being said, let me get up out of here. Thank everybody that came through tonight. And matter of fact, let me hit the sound effects for everybody that dropped the super chat. Premium Network, thank you, bruh. Ray J, thank you, bruh. Chef Campy, thank you as always. I bid y'all adieu. It's in 24 hours from now. We'll do it again tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace.